My brother asked me to watch his 10-year-old son. What I found was horrific. True story. I was standing in my kitchen making a pot of coffee when my phone rang. It was my older brother, Tom. He never calls before 9 in the morning. I looked at the clock on the microwave. 7:42. I let it ring twice while I finished scooping the grounds into the filter. Then I wiped my hands on my jeans and picked up. Tom sounded different. His voice had that tightness I remembered from when we were kids, and he had to tell our father he crashed the car. He asked if I could watch his son for the weekend. 10 years old. My nephew, Tyler. I hadn't seen Tyler in almost a year. Tom said he and his wife had an emergency out of state, something about her mother falling and breaking a hip. He needed someone he could trust. He said my name slow, like he was holding back something else. I said, of course. Family helps family. That's what my father always told us. That's what I believed my whole life. I drove to their house that afternoon, a nice suburban place in Naperville, white siding, 2-car garage, a swing set in the back that hadn't been used in years. I parked my old F-150 on the street because their driveway was full. A new BMW SUV, a silver Lexus, a Jeep Wrangler with a soft top. Tom met me at the door with a suitcase in his hand. He looked older than 57, gray in his beard, dark circles under his eyes. He shook my hand like I was a stranger, then pulled me into a quick hug. His wife, Diane, came out of the kitchen. She hugged me too, but her body was stiff. She said thank you so many times it started to sound like a prayer. Tyler was in the living room playing a game on a tablet. He looked up at me and smiled a little, then went back to the screen. I remembered holding him in the hospital the day he was born. I remembered his first birthday party at my sister's house. I remembered teaching him how to fish off the dock at the lake house our family used to own. That lake house was gone now, sold to pay for my mother's nursing home. But the memories stayed. I thought I had more time with Tyler. I thought I had more time with all of them. Tom drove away first in the BMW. Diane followed in the Lexus 20 minutes later. She told me Tyler's routine. Bed at 8:30, no soda after 6. He takes a pill for his allergies. The instructions were written on a sticky note on the fridge. I stood in their kitchen after she left and looked around at their life. Granite countertops, a wine rack full of bottles I couldn't pronounce. Photos on the refrigerator of vacations I wasn't invited to. Costa Rica, Italy, a cruise somewhere with water so blue it looked fake. I was happy for them, I really was. Tom worked hard. He deserved good things. Friday night was fine. Tyler and I ordered pizza. We watched an action movie from the 80s that I had to explain every 5 minutes because he didn't understand why the phones had cords. He laughed at the special effects. He asked me questions about when I was a kid. I told him about riding my bike to the creek and catching frogs with his dad. He seemed interested. For a few hours, I felt like I was still part of something. Then he went to bed, and I sat alone on their leather couch watching a home renovation show with the volume low. The house was too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you notice how big a place is, and how small you've become inside it. Saturday morning, I made pancakes. Tyler ate 3 of them and asked for bacon. I found bacon in the second fridge in the garage. While I was cooking, he went back to his tablet. I don't judge parents for screens. My own kids were grown and gone. My daughter lived in Denver, my son in Austin. They called once a week if I was lucky. I loved them. I told myself they were just busy, building their lives. I understood. That's what I told myself. The first crack came around noon. Tyler asked if he could show me something in his dad's office. I said sure. The office was in the basement. A finished space with a wet bar and a pool table and a big wooden desk in the corner. Tyler walked straight to the bottom desk drawer. It was locked. He pulled a small key from his pocket and opened it. Inside were files, neat stacks of manila folders with labels. Tyler pulled one out and handed it to me. He said his dad told him to give it to me if anything happened. I asked what he meant. Tyler shrugged and said, I don't know. Just if anything happened. I opened the folder. The first page was a deed. My parents' old lake house. The one I thought was sold. The one that paid for my mother's care. The deed showed Tom's name as the owner. Date of transfer was 3 years ago. My mother was still alive then. Still in the early stages of dementia, but alive. I remembered signing papers she asked me to sign. She said it was for the nursing home. I trusted her. I trusted Tom. I was the younger brother. I didn't ask questions. I just signed. I flipped to the next page. A life insurance policy. My mother's name,
Tom was the beneficiary. The payout amount was $300,000. The date of the policy was 2 months before she died. I remembered sitting with her in the hospice center, holding her hand while she struggled to remember my name. I thought I was there because I loved her. I was. But Tom was there for other reasons. He was there changing her paperwork, moving assets, making sure everything flowed to him, while I sat in the corner crying like a child. The third page stopped my breath. A copy of my father's will. Not the one the family lawyer read to us after he passed. A different version. An older version. This one left everything to my mother. I knew that. But there was a codicil attached. A handwritten note, signed by my father. It said that after my mother's death, the lake house and the insurance money and the remaining savings were to be split equally between Tom and me. 50-50.
My father's handwriting. I recognized the way he wrote the letter. My father's handwriting. I recognized the way he wrote the letter R. He always made it too big. The codicil was dated 6 years ago, 2 years before he died. The will we read at the lawyer's office left everything to my mother, with no mention of me. The lawyer said it was standard. I didn't question it. I was too broken to question anything. My father was gone. My mother was fading. I just wanted to survive. Tom stood next to me at the reading and put his hand on my shoulder. He said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of Mom. You just focus on healing." I had just gone through a divorce. My ex-wife took the house. I was living in a small apartment above a garage. I felt like I had nothing left. Tom was my big brother. He was supposed to take care of me. I sat on the floor of his basement with a folder in my hands and tried to breathe. Tyler was watching me with big eyes. He asked if I was okay. I said yes. I said I just needed a minute. He went back upstairs to his tablet. I stayed on that carpet for a long time. I thought about all the holidays I spent at Tom's house, all the times I babysat Tyler for free, all the times I helped with home improvement projects. I painted their deck. I helped redo the guest bathroom. I never asked for money. Family helps family. That's what I believed. I thought about the year after my divorce, when I was sleeping on an air mattress in a friend's basement. Tom invited me over for Thanksgiving. I drove 2 hours to sit at his table. He carved the turkey. Diane poured the wine. Tyler was 4 years old and sat on my lap during dinner. I felt grateful. I felt loved. I looked around that beautiful house and told myself that blood meant something, that family was the only thing that mattered, that all my sacrifices would come back to me someday. I was such a fool. I started digging through the rest of the drawer. There were more files, bank statements, retirement accounts, a trust set up in Tyler's name with Tom as the trustee. The trust had $200,000 in it, money from my mother's estate, money that should have been mine. I found a letter from a lawyer in Wisconsin. The letter was addressed to Tom. It said the statute of limitations on contesting the will had passed. It said the property transfer was ironclad. It said, "Congratulations. Congratulations." My brother got a congratulations letter for stealing my inheritance, for lying to me for years, for sitting across from me at Thanksgiving knowing what he did, for letting me babysit his son while he and Diane went on vacations, paid for with my money, for watching me struggle to rebuild my life while he cashed checks with my name crossed out. I closed the drawer and put the key back where Tyler found it. I went upstairs and made Tyler a sandwich. I asked him how he knew about the key. He said his dad showed him last summer, told him to keep it hidden, told him to only open the drawer if something bad happened to both his parents. I asked if anything bad was happening. Tyler said no. But he said his mom and dad had been fighting a lot. About money. About his grandmother's estate. He heard his dad say my name one night. He heard his mom say, I was a loose end. A loose end. I was a 68-year-old man, a grandfather, a retired factory worker who spent 35 years on an assembly line so I could put my kids through college and help my parents in their old age. I wasn't a loose end. I was a brother. But to Diane, I was just an obstacle. To Tom, I was just someone too weak and too trusting to fight back. I didn't call Tom that night. I didn't call a lawyer. I didn't do anything smart or strategic. I just sat in their living room and stared at their family photos. There was a picture of Tom and me from 1987. We were at Wrigley Field. He had his arm around me. We were both laughing. I remembered that day. The Cubs lost, but we didn't care. We drank beer and ate hot dogs and talked about the future. Tom said he wanted to be a lawyer. I said I wanted to be happy. He became a lawyer. I never figured out the happy part. Now I know why. Happy people trust the wrong people too. They just recover faster. I never recovered from anything. I just stacked one loss on top of another until I couldn't feel the weight anymore. The divorce, the empty nest, my parents dying, my kids moving away, and now this, my own brother, the last person I thought would hurt me. Sunday morning came. I made pancakes again.
Tyler ate too and asked if we could go to the park. I said yes. We walked 4 blocks to a playground with a wooden castle and 2 slides. Tyler climbed to the top and waved at me. I waved back. I sat on a bench and watched him play. Other parents were there, younger parents, pushing strollers, taking pictures. They looked tired, but happy. They looked like they still believed in things. I used to believe in things. Around noon, Tom texted me. He said they were running late. Something about Diane's mother needing more tests. He asked if I could stay one more night. I said yes. I didn't know what else to say. I wanted to confront him. I wanted to drive to his hotel and throw the folder in his face. But I wasn't ready. I needed to think. I needed to understand how someone I loved could do this to me. That night, after Tyler went to sleep, I called my daughter. She answered on the 3rd ring. Her voice was distracted. She was making dinner. She asked if everything was okay. I said yes. I said I was just thinking about her. She said that was nice. She said she had to go because the pasta was boiling over. I said I loved her. She said, "Love you too, Dad," and hung up. She didn't ask how I was doing. She didn't ask why I called so late. She just went back to her life. I don't blame her. I raised her to be independent. I just didn't realize independence meant I wouldn't be needed anymore. Monday morning, I got a call from my son. He never calls on Mondays.
He works from home and Mondays are his busy days. He asked if I was alone. I said yes. He said he needed to tell me something. His voice was strange, careful, like he was reading from a script. He said Tom called him, asked him to talk to me, to calm me down, to make sure I didn't do anything rash. My son knew. He knew about the lake house. He knew about the insurance. He knew about the will. He knew for 2 years. Tom told him. Diane told his wife. They all sat on it together. They talked about it at barbecues and birthday parties and family dinners I wasn't invited to. They decided not to tell me. They decided I wouldn't understand. They decided I would make a scene. They decided I was better off not knowing. My son said, "Dad, please don't be angry." He said Tom felt bad. He said Tom wanted to tell me, but the timing was never right. He said the family needed to stick together. He said we couldn't let money destroy us. Money didn't destroy us. Lies destroyed us. Secrets destroyed us. My own son sitting on information that would break his father's heart because his uncle asked him to. My own blood choosing my brother over me, choosing comfort over truth, choosing the easy path of silence. I asked my son if he would have ever told me. He didn't answer for a long time. Then he said, "Probably not." He said he didn't want to hurt me. I told him the silence hurt more. I told him the betrayal wasn't just Tom. It was him too. He started crying. I didn't. I was too empty for tears.
Tom came back Monday evening. He walked in the door with a smile and a bottle of wine. He said, "Thank you for stepping up." He said, "Family is everything." He poured himself a glass of wine and offered me one. I said no. He asked what was wrong. I told him to sit down. He sat in his leather chair. I stood in front of him. I asked about the lake house.
His face changed. The color drained. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I asked about the insurance policy. I asked about my father's will. I asked why he made me sign those papers at the nursing home. I asked why he let me believe I had nothing when he knew half of it was mine. He tried to explain. He said Mom wanted it that way. He said she was confused. He said she didn't know what she was signing. He said he was just trying to protect the family assets. He said Diane pushed him. He said the lawyer advised him. He said a lot of things. All of them were excuses. None of them were apologies. I asked him to look me in the eye and tell me he didn't steal from me. He looked at the floor. Then he looked at the wall. Then he looked at Tyler, who was standing in the doorway with his tablet in his hands. Tyler said, "Dad, why are you yelling at Uncle Steve?" Tom said it was okay. He said we were just talking. Tyler didn't believe him. I could see it in his face. A 10-year-old boy realizing that adults lie, that family hurts each other, that nothing is safe. I left that night.
I drove home in the dark with the folder on the passenger seat. 2 hours on the highway. No radio, no podcasts. Just the sound of the engine and the weight in my chest. I parked in front of my apartment and sat in the truck for a long time. The building was dark. My neighbors were sleeping. The world was sleeping. I was awake and alone, and 68 years old, and I had just learned that the people I loved most had been lying to me for years. The next day, I called a lawyer, an older woman named Margaret, who worked out of a small office near the courthouse. She looked at the documents. She asked me questions. She shook her head a lot. She said I had a case, but it would be expensive and ugly, and there was no guarantee. She said family court was unpredictable. She said judges didn't like siblings suing each other. She said Tom had money and I didn't. She said that mattered more than the truth. I filed anyway. The lawsuit went on for 14 months. Tom countersued for legal fees. He claimed I was unstable. He claimed I had a history of paranoia. He brought up my divorce. He brought up my depression after my parents died. He made me sound like a broken old man grasping at straws. His lawyer said I was bitter about my own failures, that I was jealous of Tom's success, that I was trying to tear apart a good family because mine had fallen apart. The judge ruled in Tom's favor on most of it. The lake house was his. The insurance money was his. The codicil to my father's will was thrown out because it wasn't notarized. My father wrote it in his own hand, but he never got it witnessed. Tom's lawyer argued it was just a draft, a piece of paper my father scribbled while watching television. The judge agreed. The only thing I got was a small settlement from my mother's savings account, $22,000, less than what I paid in legal fees. I sat in the hallway outside the courtroom after the verdict. Tom walked past me with his family. Diane didn't look at me. Tyler looked at me, but Tom pulled him along. My son and daughter weren't there. They both called that night. They said they were sorry. They said they loved me. They said maybe it was for the best. Maybe now we could all move on. Move on. Like I was a car accident they drove past. Like I was a piece of furniture they decided to leave on the curb. I still live in the same apartment above the garage. The landlord is a young guy who runs a landscaping business. He gives me a discount because I help him with the books. I don't know much about computers, but I know math. I know numbers. I know what 50% of something looks like. I also know what 0 looks like. 0 is what I have left of my family. Tom and I don't speak. He sent me a Christmas card last year. It had a photo of Tyler on the front. Tyler was wearing a hockey uniform. He looked happy. He looked like he was growing up fast. The card said Merry Christmas, with no message inside.
Just a printed signature. Tom and Diane and Tyler. I put it on my refrigerator next to a magnet from a hardware store. I look at it sometimes. I try to feel something. Anger. Sadness. Regret. Most days I feel nothing. That's the worst part. Not the anger. The nothing. My daughter got married last spring. She didn't invite me. She said it was a small ceremony. Just close friends. Just people who supported her relationship. I guess I didn't qualify. I sent her a check for $500. She cashed it. She never said thank you.
My son had a baby last fall. A boy. My first grandchild. I found out from a Facebook post. I commented congratulations. He never responded. Sometimes I drive by Tom's house. I don't know why, I just end up there. I park across the street and look at the white siding in the two-car garage and the swing set that still hasn't been used. I think about Tyler. I think about him finding that key when he's older. Opening that drawer again. Reading those files. Realizing what his father did. I hope he asks questions. I hope he demands answers. I hope he doesn't become like the rest of them. I am 71 now. I have high blood pressure. I have arthritis in my hands. I have a small retirement account that might last another 10 years if I'm careful. I eat alone most nights. I watch old movies. I talk to my dog, a golden retriever I named Jack after my father. Jack doesn't care about deeds or wills or codicils. Jack just wants his dinner and a walk around the block. I understand that. I want less now too. I still make pancakes on Saturday mornings. I make a whole batch, I eat 2 and throw the rest away. The smell fills the apartment. Maple syrup and butter and flour. It smells like something good, something that should be shared. I stand at the stove and remember Tyler asking for bacon. I remember him laughing at the old movie. I remember him waving from the top of the wooden castle. I remember thinking that weekend that maybe I still mattered to someone. The phone doesn't ring much anymore. My sister calls once a month. She lives in Florida. She doesn't talk about Tom. She doesn't talk about the lawsuit. She talks about the weather and her garden and her neighbor's cat. I listen. I say that's nice. I say I'm fine. I say I'm doing just fine. That's what people want to hear. That you're fine. That the betrayal didn't kill you. That you're still standing. I am still standing, but fine isn't the word I would use. The word I would use is hollow, like someone carved out everything soft and left only the hard edges. I don't cry at movies anymore. I don't feel much at funerals. I don't get excited about holidays. I just move from one day to the next, trying not to think about the lake house, or the will, or my father's handwriting on that piece of paper, trying not to think about my son's voice on the phone, trying not to think about my brother's hand on my shoulder at the lawyer's office, trying not to think about all the years I gave and all the years they took. My lawyer Margaret died last year. Cancer. I went to the funeral. I sat in the back row. Her family didn't know who I was. Just an old man in a black jacket. I stayed for the whole service. I listened to people talk about how she fought for the little guy, how she believed in justice. I wanted to stand up and tell them she lost my case. The justice didn't show up that day. But that wasn't her fault. Justice doesn't show up for people like me. People who trust too much. People who sign papers they don't read. People who believe that blood is thicker than anything. I keep the folder in a box under my bed. The deed. The insurance policy. The codicil. The letter from the lawyer in Wisconsin. I take it out sometimes. I touch the pages. I look at my father's handwriting. That big letter R. I wonder what he would think. I wonder if he would be proud of Tom. I wonder if he would be ashamed of me for not fighting harder, for not seeing the cracks earlier, for not protecting myself. My therapist says I need to forgive. She's young, 35 maybe. She has a framed picture of her husband and 2 kids on her desk. She doesn't know what it's like to be erased, to have your own family decide you don't matter. She talks about closure and healing and moving forward. I nod and write the check and drive home and sit in my truck in the dark. Forgiveness is for people who have somewhere else to go.
I don't have anywhere else. This is it. This apartment above a garage. This dog. These hands that don't work like they used to. These memories that come at night when I'm trying to sleep. Tyler's face when he asked why his dad was yelling. My son crying on the phone. My daughter's wedding I wasn't invited to. Tom's hand on my shoulder. That's my family now. A collection of moments that cut deeper every time I revisit them. Last week I got a letter. Handwritten. Addressed to me in an envelope with no return address. I opened it on my kitchen counter while Jack watched me eat toast. It was from Tyler. He's 14 now. His handwriting is messy but careful. He said he remembered the weekend I watched him. He remembered the pancakes. He remembered the action movie. He remembered walking to the park. He said he was sorry for what his dad did. He said he didn't know all the details, but he knew it was wrong. He said he still thinks about me. He said maybe we could get lunch sometime. I read the letter 5 times. Then I folded it and put it in the box under my bed next to the folder. I haven't responded yet. I don't know if I will. Part of me wants to see him. Part of me is afraid. Not of Tyler. Of what seeing him might wake up. The hope I buried. The love I locked away. The belief that family can still be something good. I don't know if I have room for that anymore. I don't know if I want room. But I kept the letter. I read it again this morning. Standing in my kitchen, making coffee. The same kitchen where I was standing when the phone rang 4 years ago. The same hands that scooped the grounds scooping them now. The same silence, the same aloneness, but a different feeling. Something small, something warm, something that might grow or might die, depending on what I do next. I'm 71 years old. I've been betrayed by almost everyone I loved. My brother stole from me. My son lied to me. My daughter forgot me. My mother signed papers she didn't understand. My sister stays silent. My wife left me years ago for a man who sold car insurance. I have every reason to be bitter. Every reason to close the door. Every reason to burn the letter and go back to my routine of nothing. But Tyler wrote me, a kid with his own messy handwriting. A kid who saw something wrong and decided to reach out. A kid who might be different from the rest of them. A kid who might be worth the risk. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's not a dramatic ending. That's not a redemption story. That's just the truth. I'm an old man with a broken heart and a golden retriever and a letter from a nephew who might be the only honest person left in my family. Maybe I'll call him. Maybe I'll drive to Naperville and sit across from him at a diner and order pancakes. Maybe I'll tell him the whole story. All of it. The parts about his father. The parts about greed. The parts about forgiveness.
The parts about how sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who taught you how to love in the first place. Or maybe I'll just put the letter back in the box and make another pot of coffee and watch the morning news and pretend I never got it. That would be easier. That would be safer. That would be the choice the old me would make. The me before Tyler wrote that letter. The me who had given up. But something changed. Not everything. Just something. Enough to make me leave the letter on the kitchen counter instead of hiding it away. Enough to make me look at Jack and say, maybe we take a drive this weekend. Enough to make me remember that I was someone before the betrayal. A father. A brother. A man who believed in something. Maybe that man is still in here somewhere. Buried under the paperwork and the court dates and the loneliness, but still breathing. Still hoping. Still human.
I don't know if I'll ever get the lake house back. I don't know if Tom will ever apologize. I don't know if my son and daughter will ever understand what they did. I don't know if I'll die with this anger or find a way to let it go. But I know one thing for sure. I know what it feels like to be written off. To be treated like a problem instead of a person. To be erased from the story of your own life. And I will never do that to Tyler. Not to a 14-year-old boy who had the courage to pick up a pen and say, "I see you." That's the thing about betrayal. It teaches you what matters.
It strips away the noise and leaves only the signal. And the signal is this: love is a risk. Trust is a gamble. Family is a word that some people honor and some people hide behind. You don't get to choose what they do. You only get to choose what you do next. I'm going to make some lunch now. Jack is sitting by his bowl. The sun is coming through the kitchen window. The letter is still on the counter. I'm going to eat a sandwich. Then I'm going to pick up my phone and call a number I don't have saved. A number written at the bottom of a handwritten letter. A number that might lead somewhere good, or somewhere painful, or somewhere in between. I don't know. But for the first time in 4 years, I want to find out.